Jai Ma. So we take up today a conversation of the mother on 12th November 1958, I think. 52, 12th November 1952. It is titled The Steps of the Soul. It's an amazing talk where the mother describes the whole journey of the soul in very, very brief. What is it doing? What happens? Very profound. So basically, there are three main steps. One is the soul is journeying in ignorance from life to life. So what is happening? Is it static? If you read traditional literature, that's what it seems. And that's why people ask, what is the point of having a soul? Because if it is static and only seeking for mukti, somehow it is bound, it doesn't make sense. There's a very big lacuna or a gap in understanding the dynamics of the soul. Is it just a static presence going from life to life, changing forms? But Sri Aurobindo writes in Savitri, it regards the icon growing by its gaze. So it's not a static event, it's constantly progressing, evolving through lives, from one life to another. So in the process, what happens? It brings out several possibilities one by one. And in a lifetime or a few lifetimes, it brings out something like a personality. Then another personality. Then as it grows through births, more and more personality make it more and more rich and complex. And all of us can study it, that there are parts which are held back. There are parts which are more in the forefront. Those which are held back are as if waiting to emerge some other time. And then a time comes when the more you evolve, the more complex the personality becomes and the more difficult. Because sometimes they contradict each other. And as it develops, the mother describes another phenomena also, that you'll see a kind of inner contradiction which we carry, a great possibility, and as if opposing it. It's very opposite. So a very generous man may be in another part, very miser in one part. He'll just not part with something, but he may be very generous otherwise. So this is how the development proceeds, but there comes a time when, apart from these personalities which develop, there is the person, the psychic being, which grows also. And a time comes when there is a need to integrate them. And to integrate them, there is a need for the emergence of the psychic being, which alone, because it has the script, it knows them. This whole thread is there held back within. And so slowly the integration starts, and then finally through all this process, you have a psychic being which is actually manifesting what it was always meant to manifest. Some aspect or the other of the divine. So this is the process. So let's read what Mother says, one of the most fascinating essays, and for, of course, psychological understanding, very useful. This from volume 15, 12th November 1952, The Steps of the Soul. The human individual is a very complex being. Someone has said we contain multitudes. So all these summary judgments, the person is like this, like that, shows nothing else but our crass ignorance. And very often the same human being carries within himself just the very opposite of what he is meant to realize. And this is nature's wisdom. Actually, you may think, Arey, why is it so? Because when you wrestle with its opposite, you grow in strength till finally what you have to express expresses itself. It's something very fascinating. Each one of which, he is composed of innumerable elements, each one of which is an independent entity and has almost a personality. Not only so, the most contradictory elements are housed together. This gives a wonderful understanding of everyone's personality, our own. Because so many times you see that there is a part which is so beautifully open, there is a part which completely contradicts. And there are different parts and how to bring them together. But first thing she reminds us, if there is a particular quality or capacity present, the very opposite of it, annulling it as it were, will also be found along with it and embracing it. So this is what is called in Jung's psychology as the evil persona. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo, they had a communication. She said, yes, it is very true that when we have to express something, it's very opposite we carry. It is as if a challenge given to us, and situations, life will bring this challenge again and again. You want to avoid it, it won't happen. Because situations come to remind us, look here, there is something or someone not yet ready or imperfect, and you have to develop it. I have seen a man, brave, courageous, heroic to the extreme, flinching from no danger, facing unperturbed the utmost peril, truly the bravest of the brave. And yet, I have seen the same man cowering in abject terror, like the last of poltroons, in the presence of certain circumstances. There are people who can be very, of course, there are stories also, a warrior who can fight battles, but feels defeat. One of the stories, our own, King Dashrath, he has fought for Devasur Sangram. Can you imagine? And he has fought victoriously. But he becomes so helpless suddenly at one particular moment that he concedes, not only concedes, even though he knows it is unjust, unfair, and he dies. He is unable to face the departure of his son whom he has banished. So there are such situations and such contradictions we all carry. Same thing we see in King Shantanu's life. King Shantanu in the Mahabharata is he's a legendary hero actually. And then suddenly when he falls in love and he tells Bhishma takes a vow that he'll never marry because of Satyavati, and we know the whole background. But toward the end, if you read Shantanu's life, it seems so helpless man. He's a legendary warrior. Actually, of all the Mahabharata warriors, he is truly exceptional. But you see him literally helpless. He knows what he is doing. He should not do it, but he is compelled as if by an inner compulsion. So these things we carry within us. I have seen a generous man giving things away largely, freely, not counting any expenditure or sacrifice without the least care or reservation. The same person I have also found to be the vilest of misers with respect to certain other considerations. That's why there is a saying very common in northern parts of India that if you have to give, don't calculate or think. But if you have to keep an account, do it to the penny. Pai ka hisab. Dena hai, de do. Don't think what you are giving, how much you gave. Forget about what you have given. But you have to. So there are always these two tendencies within us. This, of course, we all may relate with. Again, I have seen the most intelligent person with a clear mind, full of light and understanding, easily comprehending the logic and implications of a topic, and yet I have seen him betraying the utmost stupidity, of which even an ordinary man without education or intelligence would be incapable. Again, we have a historical example of our own Yudhishthir. Sattvic mind. Sattvic mind is a mind by definition, a mind of clarity, balance. It knows the implications of what you are doing. And he ends up, he played a game of dice, lost money, kingdom is okay. But he's losing his brothers, he's losing his wife. This is so silly and stupid. They are not your own. Even kingdom is not your, but one can understand. But you can't say that. So this is where these stories, and in some of our scriptures, these profound opposites are brought out, because this is how life presents itself. So why does this, so she explains this complexity a little more. The complexity arises not only in extension, but also in depth. Man does not live on a single plane, but on many planes at the same time. There is a scale of gradation in human consciousness. The higher one rises in the scale, the greater the number of elements or personalities that one possesses. So it's like if you are evolving more and more higher, doesn't mean the lower vanishes. This is the challenge of evolution. It's not like, okay, you're there now. No, it's like in a house. You climb up, but the basement is also there, in this house. So you have the basement and you may start living. This is one of the problem Mother describes in one of the experiences with one of the tantric swamis. That what happens is that he has entered a zone which is above and they shut themselves there and they are acting from there. But down below, there is chaos and confusion. You will see this. You will see this in number of Babajis also. There is something here. They enter into, but the whole rest of the nature. But of course, those who want to take mukti or escape, they just live more and more here, hoping it will drop off. They don't care. There have been great realized saints of this kind because they have not taken care of the personality which has many sides. And it was not their business or purpose also. But this is a truth. So if we rise high, doesn't mean that the lowers are not there. At a time comes when you have to take them into cognizance. That's why Sri Aurobindo speaks, when he speaks of this yoga. The higher one stands, the richer the personality, because it lives not only in its own normal level, but also on all the levels that are below it. So the subconscious is there, if you take psychological understanding. But, and here comes, the superconscious is also there. And it's so difficult for a human being average to understand. How come the person has this lovely thing and how come he can act so foolishly? Many times people find it difficult to explain because we are not unidimensional creatures. The complete or integral man, some occultists say, possesses 365 personalities. Indeed, it may be much more. The Vedas speak of the 3 and 33 and 3300 and 33,000 gods that may be housed in the human vehicle. You see, each of these gods is a center, a place. So, what it means is there is basic 3 or 1.5. There is a whole dialogue between Yagyavalkya and Maitri and Gargi. Sorry. So she asks that how many gods are there, and he says 33 million, or you can say 3 million, or you may say 3,000, or you may say 3, or you may say 1.5, or you may say 1. Very fascinating. From the 1.5, that half is that the power comes out. And then that power multiplies on creation, destruction, and preservation. And that multiplies endlessly. So you have many Kalis, many Gan of Shivas, countless, many Vaishnavas who are, from that, emerging from Vishnu. So all these continue to do their own work and in their own way. Some of them very interestingly, like Shivas. One of they're described as daughters, sons, children of Shiva. One of them is Manasa. I don't know if somebody has heard or not. So Manasa Devi is a serpent goddess. So she is inherited Shiva's anger. And that anger is so much disconnected with the rest of Shivatva that if she bites or if she gets angry, the person dies. So finally Shiva helps her restore her godhead. This is a whole story. And now you have Manasa Devi's temple in Nainital where people from snake bites, they go there and they get cured. Now this is a very interesting story. It's not about snake bite getting cured or not. That's a different. But there is a subtle truth in it. If a person has conquered a difficulty within himself, then he becomes capable of conquering it in others or for others. But only that difficulty which the person has conquered. And that you will see in Sri Aurobindo's letters sometimes, that there is typical representative humanity, one who is constantly having doubts. And you wonder why he's having so many doubts. But each one has their difficulties. And another person who has only problem is lust. And he's writing. And Sri Aurobindo, why? Because he is a representative difficulty. And if you conquer it in one person, and that's what is the morphogenetic resonance principle, where one rat conquers a maze and it helps all other rats all over the world to conquer it. So this is the story of Manasa Devi. The basic three being evidently the triple status of the world of body, life and mind. So this is the Trilok. And then you have further three loks, Satchit Anand, and you have the middle lok, which is Supermind. So you have the 7 planes. And from the 3 original, the 3 lower have come. So these are the ones, and then there are countless. There are gods on the physical nature. I mean, if when we read the Vedas, there are gods specifically who are connected to certain functions in the human body. The nervous system, for example. Twastri, who makes the chariots. Other gods who just activate the nervous system. This was the kind of ancient Vedic knowledge. Now it's no more there. Now people only use. So they used to directly invoke these gods, and they were connected with different functions of, we know this experience of Prithvi Singh Nahar, that once he had a heart attack and in that severe pain, he called the mother. And then 2 very beautiful young men appeared, tall. He sees it. Now, of course, in a vision. And the moment he says, no, don't come near me because I have called the mother and only mother I want. Then they smile at each other. Then they say, he feels they have said, mother has sent us. And they are carrying a bag on this is documented. So they're carrying a bag on their shoulder. Suddenly he sees that they have plunged into his heart. And as if they are massaging and putting some herbs, something is happening. After 20 minutes they came out and went away. And his pain vanished, everything vanished. So he asked the mother, who were they? And she said, of course they were the Ashwins. You called me, I had sent the Ashwins. Normally they don't go because they are physicians of the gods. They don't like meddling with human affairs. Let Yamaraj take care. Because human consciousness operates very differently. You can't endlessly revive. People who try it, they should know. Why? Because you have to change inside. Yes, one day we will achieve that. Gilgamesh epic story will come true. The legend of immortality. But it has to be, the consciousness has to change to arrive there. And there will be physical means also. So she says, what is the meaning of this self-contradiction? This division in man. To understand that, we must know and remember that each person represents a certain quality or capacity, a particular achievement to be embodied. How best can it be done? What is the way by which one can acquire a quality at its purest, highest and most perfect? It is by setting an opposition to it. Divine psychology. So if you are meant to realize the highest love, you may carry in you a tendency towards lust. It's very opposite. They are totally at 2 different poles. And if you can conquer and that energy sublimates, it can eventually get transmuted into the purest form of love. It's difficult, but it's like you're not given other problems. That's why it is said, mind your own business. This is your problem. Somebody else may have a different problem. Let him handle that. You tackle your problem which is given to you. Somebody who has to realize ultimate calm in the face of everything may have a lot of anger issues. That's why we have Shiva, who is Ashutosh. He is also Shiva, who is Rudra. And if you read some of the Leela of the gods, you will see this. Shri Krishna, who is Anandamay, Premmay. But if you read as it is described in the Bhagavad in the early stages when with the gopis, not the symbolic meaning of the gopis, you will see a lot of vital touches in that. So those who are into yoga, they immediately understand. And therefore, he is able to correct all this because he knows what is attraction, what is repulsion. He attracts you. That's why we read that. How does he operate? He says he draws you, lures you, then you are cast aside. Then again he lures you with his sweetness. Ultimately, you are so enamored of his sweetness that nothing else matters. Shiva, on the other hand, is very different. So with Shiva, you say, I want moksha. He says, okay, come. Die to your ego, come to the Shamshan. That's why he puts Bhabut all over. If you are dying to the ego, you are ready for Shiva. So you see, there are many stories like that which indicate that how the opposite, when we conquer the opposite, then we are ready for the full manifestation. The deficiencies with respect to a particular quality show you where you have to mend and reinforce it, and in what way to improve it in order to make it perfectly perfect. How beautiful. And we want to run away. We want to run away from the difficulty. Oh my God, this is so difficult, I don't want to face it. So what happens if you do it? You will fall into the same trap, step 2. You want to run away? Again, because it will come to, the universe will remind you, look here, this part is not conquered. And if you face it in the true spirit, not that you should look for difficulties, certainly not. Then one day, but in the true spirit, then one day you have a chance of conquering it. The change will come. And when you conquer it, you become a power for others to conquer it. So that's what. It is the hammer that beats the weak and soft iron to transform it into hard steel. The preliminary discord is useful and needs to be utilized for a higher harmony. And I'm sure everybody who has gone through the process of transformation yoga understand this. At least to me it's so clear. It's like you go through this process. And then a time comes, then you laugh over it, oh, how silly, how stupid. But you are that silly, stupid person. But then toward the world, you develop a very benevolent attitude because you understand that, well, each one goes through their own challenges. You don't condemn, you don't judge. Judgmental, condemning others comes when you have not done work on yourself. If you have really done your own work, then you are not judgmental. You may say you know how to help, but not otherwise. This is the secret of self-conflict in man. You are weakest precisely in that element which is destined to be your greatest asset. What a hope. And I could go on counting the number of things where we observe the person who is apparently a big coward carries within him the highest possibility of bravery, courage and self-sacrifice. And there are real stories like that. I mean, there have been films, famous films, now I'm forgetting, but the films which express this truth. Because this is so true. It just, that moment has to arrive, that moment of reckoning. And then she takes it to the next level. Each man, so this is the first part. Second is, each man has then a mission to fulfill, a role to play in the universe, a part he has been given to learn and take up in the cosmic purpose, a part which he alone is capable of executing and none other. Provided we do not enter into the rat race of competition. That one has to be very careful because, as somebody has said, I love this, that, in a rat race, even if you come first, at the end you are still a rat. There is a very nice simile I used to ask people sometime, which is that plant without which you cannot imagine a garden. You can think about this tree, that plant, this flower. What about the umbel grass? It just stays in the background. But just imagine, I have seen, I'm sure many of us have seen some gardens which don't have grass, designed like that. But it hits you very hard. Even we have a rose garden. But it hits you very hard that something important is missing. You know what is the name mother gave to grass? Humility. And now the story of Ken Upanishad takes an entirely new meaning. When the eternal comes, picks a blade of grass and puts it across and says, "This you consume." Another meaning it takes is when Mata Sita, when Ravan is trying all his tricks, she picks up a grass and says, "You dare consume it." Now, what does it mean? If you are humble, if you have developed humility, nothing can touch you, no adverse force can touch you. But if you think, "I know it all," then you are vulnerable. Because something in the universe will come to show you, "My dear man or girl, you are not ultimate. Don't try to behave like God or Almighty. You are vulnerable." But if you have humility, you bypass that test. You go into okay, your screening not required, baggage through the green channel. Because you have that humility, or the VIP channel. Because you don't need to learn that lesson or that message. And you see, in so many stories, this again is, we are reminded in several ways. This he has to learn and acquire through life experiences, that is to say, not in one life, but in life after life. So many people ask, they don't like this Krishna's story of Ranachod. Must have heard about it, no? Krishna running away because this fellow Kal Yavan is after him. Of course, it is explained in one way that, he didn't want his army to be massacred. He had a plan, divine plan in mind, and so he went into a cave where Muchkund Rishi is sleeping, and then he opens the eyes and he dies. It's a beautiful story. But that apart, because Sri Krishna has been Ranachod, therefore he can truly guide the Mahabharata war. Shobinda at one time says, somebody who has never failed, don't take him as your leader. The moment there is a challenge, he is the first fellow who will run away. Take as your leader someone who has learned how to fail, because he has learned and grown. And there are real life stories. We know that how Tamurlang ultimately, entered and looted things from Somnath temple. So this is how we have to grow. This he has to learn and acquire life after life. In fact, that is the meaning of the chain of lives. Something totally new. Nowhere you find this meaning. It's all about reward and punishment, reward and punishment, reward and punishment. Saying no, it's about growth. Learn and grow, learn and grow. And she's also said, what is the process of learning? What is it that you are learning? That the individual has to pass through, namely to acquire experiences and to gather from them the thread, the skein of qualities and attributes, powers and capacities for the pattern of life he has to weave. Once I remember, I went in San Francisco. There is a museum where they have mummy and all these. They have a mummy and they have all other, some old kings things. So when I went, I don't know why I was taken. I didn't go to any museum, but somehow, as soon as I entered, there was a Egyptian kings, and I just got identified as this thing, and I got horrified. This man was a man who was busy only with alcohol. He had 400 wives, and I said, "What is this happening?" And then I came to know this is way back, some several thousand years. So I said, "Okay, this is past. don't take it so seriously." So we all have gone through many things. And when these things appear, but through all that, when you read the past lives of, even if you read past lives of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, so it's very interesting at every crucial juncture, but still gone through challenges, difficulties, and then that ultimate, one of the past life which we know was declared was Queen Catherine. In Russia, I've gone to see her palace and had a kind of another connection. But if you read the life of Queen Catherine, you wonder. Of course, she is the image of ultimately, who changed the whole face of Russia. Till date, she is regarded. Read the life of Napoleon, and he is a vibhuti. But the fellow will go somewhere and say, "Oh, any country, this art form is very nice. It should be for France. along. He was a connoisseur. So when you read, you understand that how this is not about reward and punishment. This is what even in Bhagavad Puran you see this. It's not about reward and punishment. It's about a certain experience that we have to go through. And once we go through, we integrate it. So many stories, including Vritrasur and all this we have been reading. So she says, now, how to weave all these different personalities? Now, the inmost being, the true personality, the central consciousness of the evolving individual is his psychic being. It's only if you will find an answer to the contradictions. Otherwise, you will try mentally, I should not have this, I should have this, I have this contradiction, what to do? You will go to psychiatrist, they will make their own palace. There is a joke about it that psychiatrists are those who make their own castle out of the castles in the mind of those whom they treat. No, psychiatrists are nice people, okay? My own community in profession. But this is so true. You can't really resolve this issue unless you discover the core. Without the core, you may just beat around, counsel, say something will happen, little bit integration will take place, but the true integration has to be when you find the center. Ego cannot integrate. Ego will end up putting certain things in the front, moderating something, putting something behind, waiting to emerge when the moment arrives. So this is how the ego plays games, and it's an endless game. It will learn, like people say even antisocial personality, by the time they are 40, they learn what we should present. But nothing has changed. They have just kept behind certain things. So she says, find the psychic being. And then she says, thus there are old souls. So in the beginning, it is as it were a very tiny spark of light lying in normal people, far behind the life experiences. They don't even know that there is something called as a soul. They don't feel it. Though its signs are when people begin to search for truth, beauty and good. This is the first sign. Second is it turns towards God automatically because it's in nature. Towards true love, truth of things. Then there is a sign that the psychic being has become active. In grown-up souls, this psychic consciousness has an increased light. Increased in intensity, volume and richness. Literally, it's not just a Hawa thing. It's not an abstraction. Thus there are old souls and new souls. Nothing to do with your age. You may be 90 and you may be a stupid new soul. You may be 15 and you may be an old soul. Now how Indian mythology, all this is, in stories this has been described. Any story anyone remembers? Okay, this is not supposed to be class. So the story is the story of Kathopanishad. So the child is Nachiketa. And his father is Vajashravas. What does Nachiketa do? When his father is giving everything in yajna, he says, Dad, basically you are not doing the right thing. You are giving away all the old cows which are useless. This is not a gift you need to give. You should give something that is dear to you. His father gets very angry. Once or twice it keeps quiet. And then he asks, whom are you giving me, Dad? I give you to Yama. That's how the Yam Nachiketa Samvad comes. But look at the hint in the story. Here is a very old soul, Nachiketa, with water seeking. And here is a very new entrant, his father. Again, Kans and Krishna. Krishna is very young. Mama is supposed to be very Vandaniya, Adarniya, and God knows what all. But what does Krishna do? No ordinary thing, no mama business. He kills Kans. Of course, leaving aside the symbol behind the story. But see, the inner maturity is not about age, which is something which today's children know about, they talk about. So if today's children you say you should respect because of age, they will say please don't be old-fashioned. And they are right. It is truth which has to be respected, not age. So, there are old souls and new souls. Old and ancient are those that have reached or are about to reach the fullness of perfection. They have passed through a long history of innumerable lives and developed the most complex and yet the most integrated personality. New souls are those that have just emerged or are now emerging out of the mere physico-vital existence. They're like simple organisms made of fewer constituents related mostly to the bodily life with just a modicum of the mental. So now we see what is Asur and Deva. So Asur is somebody who has Dehatma Bodh. This is the first stage of evolution. Only concerned about body. How does my body look? How does this beauty product I'll use, that dress I'll wear? How am I looking? This is clear sign that it's a very early life. Dehatma Bodh. Whereas when you develop this early occupation with physico-vital life, roaming around, gathering money, picking up, poses and what else, dresses and all this, changes into a richness of intellectual life, trying to understand things. Now you go still further, and a really old soul begins to seek higher truths. It's not like this is different, that is different. Yes, but that is because of number of lives one has left behind. It is the soul, however, that grows with experiences, and it is the soul that builds and enriches the personality. So basically we can say that as long as a human being is interested only in the physical vital things, it's still an asuric life. But when one begins to get interested in intellectual and spiritual or higher and deeper pursuit, then the transition to a deva kind of life is beginning. The first thing, so this is what she has explained, and it makes such a logical sense. First time when you read it, you feel, yes, that's something relatable. Not reward and punishment happening blindly, some kind of a judge sitting out there. So what are we to do? So part 3. Part 3 is the first thing to do then is to find out what it is that you are meant to realize, what is the role you have to play, your particular mission and the capacity or quality you have to express. This question itself is so interesting and important because people say, what does the divine want me to do? Or do is much later. As if he is busy appointing, giving appointment, you be a clerk, you be a doctor, you be an engineer. Not at all. This is most foolish. Because in this world there is chaos. Right now you just develop. What does the divine want you to do? Develop. Find your psychic being. If you want to. Through any circumstance. And you see, there have been yogis who have found through different means. Then you will get to know what you are really meant to do. You may get hints before that. There would be hints. Certain temperament, that's why it is called as Swabhav and Swadharma. That's how people misinterpret the Gita as doing your duty. Gita is nothing, it doesn't speak about doing your duty at all. It uses the word kartavyam karma, but in the reference to your own psychic being. Swabhava niyata karma. And it goes on to say, Swadharmo nidhanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. You are evolving along a certain line, you have to respect that line and grow into that. Otherwise, the Gita, if Krishna, according to duty, they should have told Buddha, Siddhartha that, look here, go back. Be the king of Shakya kingdom. Take care of your wife, your child. And Sri Aurobindo says, Sri Krishna would not say that to Buddha. Buddha is moved by a universal compassion. Shut him into a little life, he will finish. So that's why he is what he is. So that's the way we have to understand. Each of us is meant to express some truth, which script is in the psychic being. And that truth is not about the job I am doing. So what role you have to play, your particular mission and the capacity or quality you have to express. So this is very important. You have to discover that and also the thing or things that oppose and do not allow it to flower or come to full manifestation. She is actually explaining even the truth of Chaturvarnya, but in a very beautiful way, without using the reference. So we had the system of Chaturvarnya, Shudra and Vaishya, who is very connected with physico-vital life. The Kshatriya, who takes the next step, nobler life, wider aims of life. And the Brahmin, who is more concerned with knowledge, and then something still higher, beyond all the 4 varnas. But she is not using, but the same truth you will find here. In other words, you have to know yourself, recognize your soul or psychic being, period. Other than that, you say, what am I meant to do? First find who you are, then what you are meant to do. So long as you are your papa's son, you are still far. Yeah, that's how it is. I had a little going in a van in Air Force days, just joined, and suddenly three rash, some big man's children going in car, they crossed the army truck and stopped their car. So I got down, a couple of more people were there. So I said, what's the problem? No, we are honking and you are not giving way. I said, you can see the road is very narrow and the driver cannot give way. I was not driving. He said, I don't know who, you don't know who I am. I said, now this is a big question. So tell me who you are. So he said, my father is that. I don't care. You tell me who you are. No, my dad is this. I said, I don't care. So after some time, they felt so ashamed. I said, I don't care who you are. You tell me who your dad is. This is how we carry. This is the worst kind of identification. I am my papa. That's why some of the movies that came, Papa kehte the, bada naam karo. Why? Why you should live your dad's life, your mom's life? You have to live your own life, your true life. Your own life means your true life. And that script is only with the psychic being. Until we find it, it's all happening in the head. You have to discover that. And also the thing or things that oppose and do not allow it to flower or come to full manifestation. So hints will be given by nature. What is opposing it? So you know that this is what I am meant to realize. So beautiful it is. If you look at it, it's made in such a wonderful way that whatever is opposing, you know that, okay, this is what the divine wants me to realize. Don't run away. Take the challenge. But with the, not challenge egoistically, but with that true aspiration and the divine help. In other words, you have to know yourself, recognize your soul or psychic being. Now she says, fourth part, how to do that? For that, you must be absolutely sincere and impartial. In fact, Mother says, don't touch yoga if you are not sincere or wanting to grow sincere. We carry a lot of ideas. No, this is what God is, this is what I am, this is what how. Then, okay, carry on. But if you really want, then you have to be sincere and impartial. Means you have to see yourself. There are things in nature. Normally, we are very kind to ourselves, very nice. We are the best, we are the best. And very unkind towards everyone else. The sign of a developed human being is that he is generally kind towards others, benevolent. If somebody is benevolent towards other people's mistakes, difficulty, then know that that person has struggled upon oneself. Because then only you understand it's not an easy game. Kaha nanak yah khel kathin hai, kau gurmukh jana. And he says, same thing. Astuti ninda dau tyagi aur maan apmana. You have to come out of all this seeking pleasant, only those who will flatter you. It's very good to have some people who are, not only they don't flatter, who will criticize you. God's ways. Don't blame destiny or God. Say thank you. You have kept very near me somebody who can tell me. It's not that the person is showing you correctly, but sometimes, because they see you very impartially. So it's a very nice thing. Otherwise, you want to surround yourself with flatterers, that means you don't want to progress. So it's okay to have few people who can tell you, you are an idiot. At least you will think, maybe I am an idiot. And there is a part in which one is always an idiot. Nothing wrong with that. Problem is when either you say I am not an idiot, want to justify it, or you don't want to, you feel disheartened. That, oh, I am this. So that's what she is going to remind us also. You must not start with an idea that this is your life's mission. So, this is your particular capacity. This you are to do or that you are to do. In this lies your talent or genius, etc. It's not about this at all. This is a very profound psychology. that will carry you away from the right track. Oh, I have this capacity, I have this, quality inside me, and always one is very generous. Oh, if you are very lucky, the moment you start feeling proud, you will be given Dhobi Pachadi Yoga. No, I have talked about Dhobi Pachadi Yoga. Dhobi Pachadi Yoga is what the divine does with you. Other yoga is what you do. When divine wants to cleanse you, he'll pick you up and repeatedly lesson of humility. Dhadam, dhadam, dhadam. Ant mein you'll say, Lord, keep me as your rug below your feet. It's okay. Then he will lift you up from the dust and the dirt, and you realize that this dust below his feet becomes the chandan, mathe ka chandan. But first he grinds. Mixer grinder. That's how sometimes I say ashram is a big washing machine. Also a mixer grinder. All that is happening. You can't, if you want to have a cushy life, forget, go somewhere else. But if you want to change, you want to progress, you want to purify and all this, you are ready to go through anything. Crucible of furnace of purification, then welcome. That's how Mother has said something to this effect, but so meaningful. So if you keep praising yourself, then you are not on the right track. That's why sometimes parents also do a big harm when they keep on justifying everything and saying everything good. Say good things. Don't say bad things or negative things. But at the same time, don't start doing, oh, beta, 99% you got. Oh, so nice. What is so nice about getting 99%? I mean, that doesn't make you a good human being also. But see how it goes. First division aaya hai. Now first division has no meaning, no? First class first. Merit holder, rank. This is not going to mean anything as he grows through life. But somebody has to tell you, so life teaches you. Look here, come now. Come to my school. It is not liking or disliking of your external being, your mental or vital or physical choice that determines the true line of your growth. I like to do it, I want to do it. No. Nor should you take up the opposite attitude and say, I am good for nothing in this matter, I am useless in that one, it is not for me. That's the other. You are shrinking, you are avoiding. You are entering into another comfort zone. You are entering into a hole basically. So, neither of the two attitudes. So, what we should do? Neither vanity and arrogance, nor self-depreciation and false modesty should move you. What is it called in yogic terminology? Tamasic ego and Rajasic ego. Tamasic ego is I am useless, I am good for nothing, I am meant to be a rug. Yes, it is correct, people are mistreating me. I deserve it. Asura, people, I deserve to be like this, I deserve to be trampled. Rajasic ego is I will trample others, I will rule, I am someone, I am something. Till you get married. Then you realize you are nobody, nothing. It's good arrangement of divine. That's why everybody should get married, because it's a good lesson in humility. Otherwise, learn the lesson of humility without marriage, then it's okay. So this is the lesson of humility is through divine, through life. That's why people who withdraw into seclusion, meditation, they don't learn this lesson. And then they become Guruji, so everybody, actually they are eyeing on the wealth that Guruji will leave. Whereas actually when you go through life like a karma yogi, facing life, even in ashram you face life. That's the beauty of this ashram. So when you face, then these things come out and come up, and then you realize. So, as I said, you must be absolutely impartial and unconcerned. You should be like a mirror that reflects the truth and does not judge. How beautiful. Not judge. Judging is, I am horrible. No. Reflect the truth. I have fear. This is truth. Oh, I am useless is judgment. I am a coward is judgment. Wherever I am, no, I experience, I have. These things come to me. That's where the problem comes. If you are able to keep such an attitude, if you have this repose and quiet trust in your being and wait for what may be revealed to you, then something like this happens. You are, as it were, in a wood dark and noiseless. Wood is nature, huh? Jungle, ये वो वाला wood, not wood. Wood, forest. Jungle, gahano karmani gati. You are moving, you don't know how to go, where to go. Then what happens? A bit of a pond embedded in the obscurity, and slowly you see in front of you merely a sheet of water, dark and still, hardly visible. The sense of the soul within, she is describing. A bit of a pond embedded in the obscurity, which feels so nice. Its sign is it gives you peace when you connect with it. It may be momentary, it may be before sitting before the sea or the sunrise or in the ashram, wherever. Suddenly you feel, you touch a little pond which is still and quiet. You don't see anything, it's dark, but you feel very nice about it, happy being there. And in the cool dim light emerges the calm liquid surface. That is how your secret truth of being will appear and present itself to you at your first contact with it. You feel that coolness, that calmness when you are in touch with that psychic being. Just a momentary contact. Then you seek it again and again, and then it grows. There you will see gradually reflected the true qualities of your being, not the distorted things the traits of your divine personality, what you really are and what you are meant to be. So there is a divine personality for each one of us which grows from the psychic essence to the psychic being, and then the psychic being starts putting it forth. So your divine personality is that aspect of the divine which you are meant to manifest. That is what we see in that crocodile and the other story, Gajgraha we were reading, that ultimately becomes Sarupya Mukti. That the elephant who goes through this cathartic period, confronts his challenges, and then suddenly it goes to Lord Vishnu's abode where he develops the same form as Lord Vishnu, Chaturbhuj. Because now he has gone through that process. So it's all described there. And finally, one who has thus known himself and possessed himself. See, if in Hindi you have to say what you will say, knowing yourself and possessing yourself, that is called Swarat. You are the master of yourself, possessing yourself. That is called Swami. Not wearing a girwa and calling Swamiji, Swamiji aa gaye, Swamiji aa gaye. कहाँ के स्वामी हो, उनका ईगो तो कहाँ चढ़ा हुआ है. Sometimes you just wonder, they are not entering the ashram because the Chhatri is not going inside. That's not being a Swami. Swami means master of yourself. So he's saying, then you become a Swami, and better nobody calls you Swami, they're dangerous. Then the moment somebody calls you Swamiji, then okay, there is a ditch which is being conquering all opposition within himself. Such a person has by that very fact extended himself and has his conquest. Now you see how mother is describing the whole sense of Arya, but in her own andaz. Making it easier for others to make the same or similar conquest. Because you have become a true Swami, what is the next? Extending the conquest. So what happens? What is that called? In Hindi, Swaraj, and this is Samrajya. Then you become Samrat in the real sense. And then you help actually, because you have conquered it inside, then therefore you can. Not by giving lectures and mental this thing, or judging people, you are like this, you are like this. Because you have conquered inside, it extends. Then you can, making it easier for others to make the same or a similar conquest. These are the pioneers or the elite who by a victorious campaign within themselves help others towards their victory. Because they have engaged in self-conquest, therefore they can help others conquer the same tendency, the same difficulty, and thereby extend the empire of the divine. This is called bringing heaven upon earth, the divine kingdom upon earth, not your own big empire. So, this is very beautiful. I'll just close it once again, reading it. Last part. One who has thus known himself and possessed himself, conquering all opposition within himself, you will have to go through that process, face it, has by that very fact extended himself and his conquest, making it easier for others to make the same or a similar conquest. Nobody who reaches goes without this struggle. You have to go through that process. And if you go through it successfully, then you help others. These are the pioneers or the elite who, by a victorious campaign within themselves, help others towards their victory. Okay. Jai Ma.